well. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalaksaya Chakshirunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishnapristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatharini. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Namo Vishnu Padaya, Vishnu Prasthaya, Talishmate, Jayapataka Swamini Dinamini Namas, Namo Acharya Padaya, Nidai Karpa Pradaya, Nikaura Kadana. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devin Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevayam Bhavati Uttama Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यस्य कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय नमाचार्य श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की जय Okay, Hare Krishna. We welcome all of you for today's Bhagavatam session, and it's my great privilege to be here, although I don't have any qualification to be sitting here and talking about the glories of the Lord's pastimes. But all of these efforts, all of these endeavors are purely to ensure that we purify ourselves. And I seek ardent blessings from each one of you and to my Guru Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada, and all the Vaishnavas to allow me to speak of the glories of the holy name, his form, qualities, and pastimes, so that we imbibe some of these great qualities of pure Vaishnavas and endeavor in eternal service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, with that, seeking of blessings from all of you, we will start today's session. And today's session, so let me share the slides. Before that, today's session is very, very interesting because when we go to a movie, we wait for the ending. While we see the movie, we also wait for the ending, the climax. Okay. And today's climax is something which every one of a pure devotee wants to have in their own lives, in their own um, journey. And the journey is to attain the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Sri Krishna. Let me bring up the slide. Let me know if you are able to see this. So please, can somebody let me know if this is, you're able to see it?
Yes, bro.
Yes, bro.
Okay. Okay, so the climax of this today's session, which is about Dhruv Maharaj's return to Godhead is something very interesting chapter in Bhagavatam, but also I'm sure each one of us are able to relate to. Um, the reason is every one of us are practicing devotees, and eventually we want to be on the path of liberation. But we also know that pure devotional service means a pure devotee also um, take shelter of the Lord, irrespective of where he or she wants to serve. So, technically, liberation for devotees means you're in the transcendental loving service of Lord Sri Krishna. So, before we enter into this chapter, I'll quickly talk about last week's proceedings, which His Grace Premadatta Chaitanya Prabhu beautifully explained with so many references to Srila Prabhupada's quotes, and also how we as devotees should behave, right? So, um, what happens in that the previous chapter is just a quick recap. Swayambhuva Manu, who's actually the grandfather of Dhruv Maharaj, he actually comes and he starts advising Dhruva, because there is a immense fight happening between Yakshas and Dhruv Maharaj. Obviously, because Dhruv Maharaj is so angry that his brother was killed. So Swayambhuva Manu actually comes and advises. He says, my dear grandson, look, Supreme Lord is the controller and maintainer of everything. Through his external energy, he creates, he annihilates, and he maintains everyone. And he reminds Dhruva of one most important thing, that at the age of 5 years, because of the grief which he got afflicted with by his mother's co-wife, and he took such a bold step for and gave up the protection of his mother, and he went on to forest to engage in yogic process, and finally for the realization of the supreme personality of Godhead. And as a result, you have already achieved the topmost attention of the Supreme Lord. So please regain your natural position. So Swayambhuva Manu is actually advising Dhruva of his past experiences and what he has achieved, which nobody else has achieved, right? And he very clearly says, please give up your anger. Now, we all know out of these six things which is most hurting for any of our impediment for our spiritual progress journey, anger is something which we have to give up, right? In Bhagavad Gita, there's this sloka 2.63, I think. Krodhat bhavati sammoha, sammohat smriti vibhramaha, smriti bhramshat buddhi nasho, buddhi nashat pranashyati. That means krodha, anger will create, because of anger we get bewilderment or illusion. And if we are illusioned, we lose our memory. And because of memory loss, we lose our discrimination or our buddhi, which is intelligence. And finally, because of that, buddhi nashat pranashyati, which means we fall from the spiritual life. Now imagine if a great soul like Dhruv Maharaj is caught up in this delusion, what are we here? So it's very, very important that we practice to overcome all of these lust, anger, greed, pride, mada matsarya, right? So we need to be extremely, extremely careful in terms of how we develop ourselves. And one of the most important things which we need to shred is anger. So after hearing from Swayambhu Manu, Dhruv Maharaj's anger actually subsides, and he completely ceases of killing yakshas. And based on that, now we sort of go to the today's climax chapter, which is about Dhruv Maharaj goes back to Godhead. It's very important to understand this particular chapter because it'll help us to progress in our own journey. So this content of this chapter is divided into various slokas put together. So the first nine slokas, Kuvera's instructions and the benediction he gives to Dhruv Maharaj. Then the next six, seven verses, which is from 10 to 16, it talks about Dhruva's ruling and renunciation. Then slokas of section 17 to 35 talk about Dhruv Maharaj's ascent to Dhruva 36 to 40 talks about the glories of Dhruloka. 41 to 43, Narada Muni glorifies Dhruva at the Pracheta's sacrifice. And finally, the Phala Shruti, which means what phala, what fruit do we gain as devotees by listening to this pastimes. We'll see how much of these chapter verses we'll be able to cover. But we'll go to the first nine verses where actually Kuvera appears. And once Kuvera hears that Swayambhu Manu has advised Dhruv Maharaj and Dhruv Maharaj's anger has subsided, Kuvera, the most blessed master of treasury, okay, he's caretaker of whole of the treasuries for the demigods, okay, and he understands that Dhruv Maharaj has sort of cooled down, and he appears in front of Dhruv Maharaj, and he sort of gives his own advices, and he talks to Dhruv Maharaj. He says, I'm very glad that you, under the instructions of your grandfather, which is Swayambhu Manu, you have given up your enmity. And although it's very difficult to avoid, but I'm very pleased with you. Yeah, as devotees, we go through a lot of turmoil in this material world. It is very natural to get anger, get upset with even small things. But giving up those anger, giving up those pride, giving up those animosities is the most important as devotees. Otherwise, there's no difference between a devotee and a common man. So it's very important, and it's so important for us to actually progress in our spiritual life. And then Kuvera actually goes on to say, Dhruva, you have not killed the Yakshas, nor have they killed your brother. The eternal time feature of the Lord, the Kala of the Lord, of the Supreme Lord, is the one which actually killed things. So he sort of makes sure that it is not because of individual aspiration or individual aspects of why each one is getting killed, but it is the pastime of the Lord, it is the Kala part of the Lord, which is the eternal time feature of the Supreme Lord, which actually killed your brother. And at the same time, it's also to be understood that you have not killed any of the Yakshas. And he sort of starts advising, starts giving philosophical references. He says the misidentification of oneself. Um, the misidentification of oneself, which is aham and mameti, right? On the basis I and mine, on the basis of our bodily conception, is what makes us ignorant, right? And this bodily concept is repeatedly the cause for our birth and death. So we have seen so many examples about getting caught in this knot of illusion. I'm sure we have heard numerous pastimes of how we get caught in this attachment, bondage, my wife, my child, my family, my house, my property, my car, and all of those things. In fact, such exalted devotees, personalities, and who was Mahajan also, right? Narada Muni, he himself gets caught in Maya. Very interesting pastime. I'm sure some of you have heard, or almost everybody would have heard. Narada Muni and Lord Krishna are actually walking in the garden. And Narada Muni is actually asking a question to Krishna. Oh, Krishna, I am actually not able to understand what this Maya is. So many people talk about Maya and getting, illusioned and getting stuck there. So, what is Maya? I'm not able to understand. So, Krishna does not answer that question. They keep walking. And suddenly, Lord Krishna says, Narada, I'm feeling very thirsty. Can you get me some water? So Narada Muni immediately rushes and he goes, walks nearby, and he reaches a sort of a river side. And on the other side of the river, there is a beautiful hermit, and he goes there and he knocks the door. So a beautiful girl opens the door, and Narada Muni is very much attracted to this girl. And he says, I need some water. And because of all that illusion, he then starts talking to the girl and he says, I would like to marry you and propose. And her father comes in and Narada Muni talks about his glories. And finally, the father gets the girl married to Narada Muni. And in due course of time, Narada Muni has two children and they're happily living in the hermit. Then one fine day, all of a sudden, there's a huge flood happening. So this gushing of water, the river is overflowing and it's sort of about to come and wash away the hermit also. It washes away and Narada Muni with his wife and the two kids are just, one is a little baby. The other one is sort of a 5 year, 6 year old grown up. So Narada Muni is holding the baby, the child who is 5 year old on one hand and his wife, and uh, he's just really fearful that this whole family is going to be washed away in this floods. So then this little baby who's being held by his wife is also on one small rock and the water is gushing. The little girl also is dropped off. So this wife is really, really panting. Oh, my first child is gone. I now have to go and rescue my second, the child, and she leaves the second child also. Then when both of them are left, Nadamani is trying to hold the wife. Then suddenly he hears this voice, Narada, Narada, where is my water? I've asked you for water. So then Narada Muni realizes that how Maya can really attack him. Although he is a Mahajan, he is such a earned brahmachari. So Maya can take away from anything and everything without any indication. And we think, okay, well, do this particular activity for a few days, few months, few years, but we get sucked into that Maya forever and again, again. Punarnapi Jananam, Punarnapi Maranam. So we get caught in this entanglement, life after life, Janma after Janma. So we got to be extremely careful. So Kuvera is explaining to Dhruv Maharaj that because of this misconception, we all are caught in this material bondage. So you please worship the Lord who has all the transcendental features and stay away from all this material world, which is happening by the inconceivable potency of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So he advises Dhruv Maharaj, and finally he says, um, look, you're the son of Maharaj Uttanapada, and we have heard a lot that you are constantly engaged in transcendental loving service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And you are worthy of taking benediction from all of us. So, without any hesitation, please ask whatever benediction you want from me. So, Kuvera is actually who's the treasurer of the material world, is ready to give benediction. Imagine what if we are all standing in front of Kuvera and what we would have asked for. Anybody? What you want to would have asked when Kuvera, who's the treasurer of the material world, um, is standing in front of us and asking for any benediction. Do you want any benediction? What would you go and ask him?
I guess you know the answer, Prabhu.
Huh?
I guess you know the answer.
So, Dhruv Maharaj with his folded hands. So, definitely, some of us, there's a lot of wonderful devotees here. I'm sure some of us would have asked for more money or some riches, want a palatious, villa and all of those material stuff, right? But when Dhruv Maharaj heard this, he begged, okay? He begged that he may have unflinching faith in remembering the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That was the mood, that was the endurance of Dhruv Maharaj, that most devotee, elevated pure devotee, who was an intelligent and thoughtful king. He's begging that he might have unflinching faith in and remembrance of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It's very, very important here to understand the mood and the um, kind of austerities that Dhruv Maharaj had taken to think only about the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Then Kubera actually says Tathastu and gives that benediction to Dhruv Maharaj. Okay, I have a question here to the devotees. Kubera was glad to offer the benediction. Now, the question is, Dhruv Maharaj is already a pure devotee, okay? And he's already seen the Lord's beautiful form when he was at the age of 5 years old. But he, with his folded hands, he accepted what uh, Kuvera actually offered as a benediction. And he says, I want unflinching faith and remembrance of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Why should he take benediction from Kuvera? Kuvera is, after all, a treasurer of demigods. Any thoughts? Anybody wants to share their views? Why Dhruv Maharaj, with his folded hands, asks Kuvera for this benediction? Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna Prabhuji. Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Satyabhama
Pranam,
Mataji.
Pranam Prabhuji.
Dandavat Mataji.
Prabhu, one reason is that Dhruv Maharaj, for instant, it looks that he forgot the Lord. And to demigods, whenever we pray, we should always ask for Lord's mercy only. So that is what we have heard from His Grace Prem Tata Prabhuji. And second thing, which I remember that Prabhupada, one incident where Prabhupada was giving a lecture, then he was telling that we should. That somebody asked, a devotee asked that when Prabhupada mentioned that I will not fall, and next day that same devotee saw Prabhupada praying, that Prabhupada was praying to the Lord that may I don't fall. And then the same devotee asked Prabhupada that you said in the last lecture that you will not fall, but now you are saying you're praying to the Lordships. So then Prabhupada mentioned that because I am praying to the Lord, that is why I will not fall. Maybe that reason is the answer, Prabhu, to your question, Prabhuji. I'm not sure,
Very
but
good, Mataji. Very nicely explained. Thank you very much. And there's also one more important thing which Jiva Goswami actually gives a beautiful explanation for this. Now, Kuvera is the treasurer of demigods. And so, if Kuvera is displeased, or if the displeasure of Kuvera could act as an obstacle for Dhruv Maharaj's remembrance of Krishna. Now, this is a very, very, very important lesson for every practicing devotee, each one of us. when we displease devotees, whether it's a senior devotee, junior devotee, our own peer, anyone, if it displeases them, that will really affect our absorption in remembering Krishna. So that's why I'm sure in many lectures we have heard in the past that we got to be extremely careful about Vaishnava Aparadha or even offenses caused due to the chanting of the holy name. But Vaishnava Aparadha or displeasing any of the devotees, whether it's senior, junior, peer, doesn't matter, because extremely important enough if we have to genuinely progress in our spiritual life, genuinely be all in the eternal service, transcendental service of the Supreme Lord. We should never displease a devotee. And it's also important, I'm sure we are not perfect, we are all humans, to err is human. So we will end up displeasing in some way or the other. But most important thing, what I heard one of the sessions from when we are talking, if we accidentally, knowingly, unknowingly displease a devotee, first of all, we should be aware of that and we should accept our menial position. And first thing is go and fall to their lotus feet, simply do a Dandavat Pranam, offer obeisances, and seek forgiveness. That way, at least we know we have made a mistake and do some prayaschitta for that. So it's very important that we don't displease any of the devotees of the Lord. Because we don't know how they, later in the conversation, I will share some more thoughts. Thank you, Satyabhai Mamataji, for sharing your thoughts. Very important that we should always be at the lotus feet of the Lord and through Vaishnavas. Okay. So, Dhruv Maharaj accepts the benediction, and Kuvera is very glad to offer that benediction. And from there on, Dhruv Maharaj continues to have um, his ruling in his presence, and he returns to his capital city. Okay. And from there on, he does some great sacrifices through continuously worshipping and meditating on the Supreme Lord. And he's engaged in relentless bhakti from there on, right? And this beautiful shloka explains about Dhruv Maharaj's qualities. Tvamevam Shila Sampannam Brahmanya Deenavatsalam Goptaram Dharma Setuna Merine Pitaram Prajaha. Tamevam Shila Sampannam, which is Dhruva was endowed with all good characters. Okay. Brahmanyam, which is he's very respectful to all the Brahmanas. Dina Vatsalam, he's very compassionate to poor and innocent people. And then Goptaram Dharma Setunam. So he says he upholds all the dharma, the religious principles, and ensures that his kingdom is ruled in a most righteous way. And menire pitaram prajaha. So he rules the citizens as if he is their own father. Okay. So like this, these are the qualities of Dhruv Maharaj, which we have to imbibe in terms of how we are able to progress in our own devotional life. So Dhruv Maharaj actually he ruled for 36,000 years with complete devotion and righteousness, right? And he's sitting upon his magnificent throne and ruling this. So when we hear he ruled this planet for 36,000 years, it very clearly indicates that he was present in Satya Yuga. And I'm sure in Satya Yuga, we know the lifespan of the living entities. It was 1 lakh years. Then Treta Yuga was 10,000 years. Then Dwapar Yuga was 1,000 years. And finally, we are in this Kali Yuga where lifespan is only 100 years. And it's very important that one of the key lessons from Dhruv Maharaj's pastime is about doing pious activities and impious activities, right? There are two types of activities. So by executing pious activities, one can gain facilities for higher material enjoyment, but at the same time, due to impious activities, one has to undergo severe austerity. It's very important to understand that, and many of the common man, in terms of, once we come into Krishna consciousness, we get that elevation, we get that intelligence to differentiate. But most common people will think, okay, if I'm doing five bad things, I equally will do five good things. So the five bad things and the five good things will neutralize. So I will not have any bad effect. But unfortunately, karma does not work that way, right? Karma works in a way that for the five things which we have done good, we have to come back to this material world and enjoy. And for those five sinful activities, what we have done, again, we have to come back to this material world and suffer for those sinful activities, right? But interestingly, a devotee, however, is not interested in enjoyment or is affected by any distress. Why? Because when he is prospering, he knows that I am diminishing or lessening the results of my pious activities. So when we have really good karma, good fate in terms of all the good things happening in our lives, we have to think that it is all diminishing or lessening the results of my pious activities. Okay, that's one way of looking at it. And when the devotee is in distress, he knows that I am diminishing the reactions of my sinful activities or impious activities. And hence, a devotee is not concerned with enjoyment or distress, which is most important for us. So many a times, because of all the good deeds we have done, we may get a really good house, good body, good facilities, and all of those things. But we should not get stuck in that material enjoyment, thinking that, oh, I have done many good things, so I'm enjoying or reaping the benefits of all of those things. So a devotee should not be concerned both with enjoyment and distress, because he simply needs to desire to execute devotional service. Okay. And it is said in Srimad Bhagavatam that devotional service should be apratihata. Apratihata means uninterrupted, and ahituki, which is unmotivated. So we have to always do a checking to ourselves, um, that even when we are having really good prosperous life because of our pious activities in our past, and when we are going through difficulties in our life, both are because of reactions. But we got to be not concerned about both enjoyment and distress. Okay. So like this, Dhruv Maharaj was always feeling that a devotee undergoes process of happiness and distress. Now, what how do we overcome this difficult situation is by taking austerity. Devotees take austerity by observing Ekadasi and similar other fasting days, and we'll have to refrain from those four things, which is about having illicit sex, intoxication, gambling, and meat eating. So thus Dhruv Maharaj actually purifies from all the reactions of his past pious life, and because he is engaged in devotional service, which is the most pious activity, he enjoys life without separate endeavor. Okay, his kingdom is really prosperous, his citizens are joyful, his fame is unmatched. Yet Dhruv Maharaj's heart is elsewhere, and he's remembering that unforgettable moment from his childhood. That moment when he saw the Supreme Lord face to face. So finally, Dhruv Maharaj, after that 36,000 years of penance and ruling with the most pious things, as any devotee, a pure devotee would do, he then realizes that his body, his wife, his children, his friends, his army, his rich treasury, everything which his own comfortable palaces, and many enjoyable pleasures which he had. which all is the creation of the illusory energy. And hence he decides he hands over the kingdom to his son and he retires to Badrika ashram in the Himalayas. And Dhruv Maharaj became completely purified by taking bath in that crystal clear water in Badrika ashram. Obviously, the Ganges is flowing there, and he fixed his mind on the Archa Vigraha of the Lord. Now, because of his transcendental bliss, and tears started flowing from his eyes, and his heart melted. He started shivering, and the hairs started standing on his body. This immediately he became liberated from this material bondage. Now, we also know that as sadhakas, as devotees, there are different stages of bhakti, right? We do sadhana bhakti, there is bhava bhakti, and finally the supreme most prema bhakti. And different stages we experience. So in bhava, we start feeling that tears start flowing out of our eyes, and then the heart melting and shivering and standing of the hairs of on our body. All of these things are different stages of our devotional service progress. So we got to be uh, thoughtful of that mood. And so Dhomaraj actually um, feels that way, and he immediately became liberated from this material bondage. The moment he got liberated from this material bondage, something unimaginable happens, right? What is that unimaginable things? That unimaginable thing is about the Vaikunta aeroplane. Vaikunta Vimana actually starts descending. A very gentle celestial sound fills the air. The skies above the palace sort of starts glowing. And from there are two effulgent personalities named Nanda and Sunanda. Having the same form of Lord Narayana, they descend in a glowing Vaikuntha Vimana. Okay, it's a beautiful plane from Vaikuntha appeared, and it carried those two effulgent personalities. Okay, and by the way, this is not mythology, and everyone there is frozen with astonishment. And Srila Prabhupada says, he sort of gives a sort of comparison. He says, just as a VIP is received with a limousine, right, with a stretched limousine car, a devotee is received with a Vaikuntha airplane. Don't we all aspire for that one day where the Lord Himself sends a Vaikuntha Vimana for all of us and takes us back? But we have to be extremely purified for that. So Dhruv Maharaj stands there, is filled with awe and gratitude. And the attendants, this is Nanda and Sunanda, they bow to him respectfully. And Dhruv Maharaj, actually with his folded hands, bows to them and does his pranam. Okay. And that's when Dhruva's identity starts awakening. Okay. So the Nanda and Sunanda, they actually say, "Oh dear Dhruv Maharaj, your devotional service has qualified you to return to the Lord's abode." Hearing this, a realization dawns in Dhruva's heart. Okay? He understood from there on he was now an eternal servant of the Supreme Personality of God. And he is not the king, he is not a ruler, he is the servant of Krishna. And Srila Prabhupada quotes that spiritual life begins when one realizes one's eternal position as a servant of Krishna. And Dhruv Maharaj bows his head very deeply. And one of the most important things for a devotee or a pure devotee in their lifespan is about their regrets. The most important thing is we need to regret our mistakes. Every one of us as humans, we will commit mistakes. There is no doubt about it. However, the most important thing is we got to regret the mistake and we got to do things which, mm, you know, overcome that mistake what we have done. So, Dhruv Maharaj is extremely good in realizing what mistakes he made, right? He felt a repentance, right? He felt that anger, what he showed on the yakshas during the battlefield, was unnecessary. Although it was justifiable because somebody's own brother being killed, it is not an easy thing to accept. But he starts repenting. As he starts preparing to go climb the Vimana, he prepares to depart, but that shadow crosses his heart. He remembers that anger, what he showed to the yakshas, and he feels inappropriate, that he should not have done that. And he remembered that, and Prabhupada actually says, repentance is a sign of advancement in devotion. So the heart of a devotee becomes softer with time, like a butter touched by the warmth of bhakti. So Prabhupada quotes this very important thing, that every one of us in our spiritual progress, we got to be thoughtful, we got to sit down and do um, retrospect, that wherever I made a mistake, and be shamelessly asking for apologies and forgiveness, because that's the sign of a advancement in devotion. And we know how Lord is so merciful, right? And Lord never forgets people who are in complete devotion, even if it is accidental. We heard about this pastime of Ajamila, right? Ajamila cried Narayana, Narayana once, and the Vishnu Dutas came immediately. Even if it was an accidental crying that brought rescue, what to speak of a life of sincere devotion like Dhruv Maharaj? The Lord never forgets his devotees. I think that's one of the most important things and takeaway, because Dhruv Maharaj at his young age of 5 years, and I'm sure all of you know, when he was 5 years, he achieved the Lord's the perfection of devotional service, and that too within a span of 6 months. Within a span of 6 months, imagine the kind of austerities Dhruv Maharaj would have taken to achieve the abode of, Lord's lotus feet, and able to see the transcendental lotus face of the Lord just within 6 months of his penance and austerity. So with that, Dhruv Maharaj actually begins to board the plane, the Vaikuntha plane. But um, now the Nanda and Sugandha are actually, they're requesting, come on, Dhruv, Dhruv, please come, dear Dhruv, please step in. The Lord is waiting for you. And Dhruv Maharaj accepts the invitation. With his folded hands, he expresses his thankfulness to Nanda and Sunanda, and he offers obeisances to the Vaikuntha aeroplane. And he does all the rituals. He takes bath and offers obeisances to all the sages, and he circumambulates them. He goes around all the stages and he begged their permission. Dhruv Maharaj is begging the permission of all the stages in Badrika Ashram, that so that he can board the Vaikuntha aeroplane. And he's saying, please give me your blessings. Remember, Dhruv Maharaj is going to Vaikuntha and he's seeking the blessings of sages who are in Badrikashram. Okay. So it shows very clearly, demonstrate Dhruv Maharaj had no pride, and he had no um, that feeling of I am the greatest kind of feeling. So he had shed all his pride, and he was showing complete pridelessness. Dhruv Maharaj places his feet on the first step of the shining staircase, and now Dhruv Maharaj will also exhibit his gratitude. Okay, so as about he's trying to keep his feet on the aeroplane, he suddenly freezes. His foot stops in mid-air. His breath is trembling. His eyes are beginning to search, and he's desperately scanning the crowd, the people, the exalted people who are standing there. Now everyone is confused. Why would Dhruv Maharaj hesitate at the very moment of his liberation? He's turning his head, he's looking again and again. He's not looking for his ministers, he's not looking for his generals. He's not looking for all the people in the crowd. He's looking for his mother, Suniti. Because in that moment, a surge of emotion really floods his heart. And what he remembers as a small child is he was rejected, he was insulted, and his heart was broken. And he remembers running to Mother Suniti and her heart with tearful instructions. She says, Dhruva, only the Lord can help you. Go to him. Those words of his mother Suniti were the seed of his devotion. So those tears were the waters that nourished his bhakti. So now Dhruv Maharaj is thinking, how can I go to Vaikunta alone? My mother is the one who sent me to God, and this success belongs to her and not to me. Now, this is the heart of a devotee. It's filled with gratitude even at the moment of liberation. Imagine ourselves being put in this place. When we are about to get this liberation, we will not think of anything else. Jump onto that Vaikunta aeroplane and just request Nanda and Sunanda to take us to the Lord's abode immediately. But that's the humility of a pure devotee of expressing gratitude. Now, Srila Prabhupada writes in one of his purports that by the strength of the devotional service of by one of my disciples or devotees, I will be taken back to Godhead. This Prabhupada is writing for himself. I'll repeat, Prabhupada is saying that by the strength of the devotional service of one of my disciples, one of Prabhupada's disciples, or his devotees, he shall be taken back to Godhead. See the gratitude and humility of what Prabhupada is saying here. That's the level of gratitude we should have always. So humility, pridelessness, and gratitude, these three things are very, very important for a devotee to progress in their own spiritual life. Now, seeing this Dhruv Maharaj's anxiety, Nanda and Sudanda are smiling very sheepishly, gently. They're asking, and they're saying, "Oh, Dhruva, please don't worry. Your mother Suniti is already being taken to Vaikunta. Can you see she's already ahead of you?" So he sees one in the sky. There's another glowing aeroplane in which Mother Suniti is sitting, radiant, joyful, and liberated. So Srila Prabhupada confirms this, saying that because of Dhruv Maharaj's devotion, his mother Suniti was also promoted to Vaikunta. Okay, and never. He also quotes that a devotee never goes alone to Vaikunta. He his love liberates many others also. Okay. Now, hearing that and seeing his mother is also in the Vaikuntha plane, Dhruv Maharaj becomes very peaceful, is very happy, and he steps onto the stairs and he expresses gratitude and goes. Okay. Now, what are the most important lessons from this story, right? And from there on, Dhruv Maharaj attains the planet where the Lord personally resides, from which he has no return. This special abode become known as the Dhruv Loka, which is visible as the Polaris pole star, yet spiritual and eternal. And Prabhupada says, Krishna conscious means going back to Godhead in this very lifetime. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Right? Okay, and Dhruva Maharaj actually proved this truthfulness. So we're almost near the time. I'll have share some practical lessons what we can take away from here and conclude this session. Right. One of the most important things which we can learn from Dhruv Maharaj's pastime is imperfect beginning are acceptable. So when I say imperfect beginning, Dhruv Maharaj started with pain, ego, and revenge. If you remember, he wanted to get a kingdom, get a empire which is much bigger than Uttanapada, his own father. But yet he ended up with pure devotion. So it is okay if we have a beginning which is asking for benediction, asking for material things in our life. But as the Lord puts it, um, just begin. So Srila Prabhupada actually says, Just begin. Krishna will purify everything. So an imperfect beginning is acceptable. So Dhruv Maharaj has given that example. He started with pain, ego, revenge, but yet he landed up or ended up with pure devotion. And Prabhupada says, you just begin your prayers to the Lord. Krishna will purify everything. So that's the first learning which we can imbibe in our own devotional service progress. The second one, Guru's guidance is extremely essential. A bona fide spiritual master's blessings is very, very important. Without Narada Muni, there is no Dhruva. And without Srila Prabhupada, there is no ISKCON. And without our own beloved dear Guru Maharaj, His Holiness Jayapataka Swami Guru Maharaj, we are as his disciples nowhere, right? So it's very important that we take the shelter of a bona fide spiritual master. And it's very important. Remember, they say it takes 10,000 human form of life to get a bona fide spiritual master. 10,000 human form of life, not 10,000 any lives, 10,000 human form of life to get a bona fide spiritual master. And if we can take advantage of that and be always in the devotional service of the Lord and do a lot of devotional service to um, senior Vaishnavas, the movement, and which pleases Srila Gurudev and to Srila Prabhupada, that is what is most important. The third important practical lesson which we can take away is devotees embrace responsibilities. Dhruva ruled responsibly before liberation. He did not leave. He ruled for 36,000 years. He did not leave and run away, right? So Prabhupada actually says spiritual life is not escapism. In this Kali Yuga, in this material world, we are born, so we have to perform all our family duties, grihastha duties, or brahmachari duties, or vanaprastha duties. But most important thing is we have to embrace responsibility, which means we can't escape. Oh, I am now in devotional service. I will not do take any responsibilities in this material world. No, we have to balance. And that's what Krishna says to Arjuna also. Arjuna wants to run away into Himalayas, doesn't want to fight the war. But Krishna says, no, you have to fight this war and you have to do it for the dharma, right? So, like that, spiritual life is not escapism. The fourth important thing is what we need to understand from this whole session is, or the pastime of Dhruv Maharaj, is gratitude is the ornament of a devotee. Dhruv Maharaj was looking for his mother, and Srimad Bhagavatam actually says, never forget those who helped you come to Krishna consciousness. We should always remember every single devotee who has helped us. Unlike this material achievement, unlike what we achieve in our material life, so we say, I have become now the managing director, I become the CEO, and all of those things. It is individual achievements. We don't recognize anything. But in spiritual world, we all will go together. There is no asuya, there is no jealousy, there is no envy. It is holding each other's hand, holding each other's dhoti, sari, and then going to the Lord's abode together. That's the beauty about the difference between material world. Whereas material world is all about individualistic performances. Here it is teamwork, collaboration, and we attain perfection together. So gratitude is the ornament of a devotee. Never forget those who help you to come, our own Siksha Gurus. Somebody who would have just got us. There are so many pastimes we have heard stories in our own now lifetime that there's somebody who introduced us to Krishna consciousness, but they may not have been progressing in Krishna consciousness. But they have been instrumental in getting us to move into this path. So we should be ever, ever grateful to them. And the fifth takeaway or practical lessons is remembrance of Krishna at the death is the perfection. Dhruv Maharaj's departure is the model of an ideal death, right? Many a time when we started this today's session, we said we are coming to the um, climax of this pastime. So typically in our stories, we see the climax being the king and the queen happily lived ever after, right? That is not the happiness. The happiness is about perfection in devotional service and going back home, back to Godhead. So, Dhruva Maharaj's departure is a model of an ideal death. I'm sure each one of us want to progress in that way, right? And we can do some closing meditation by understanding Dhruva Maharaj's journey is our own journey. We start with material desires. Our life hurts us. A guru or a devotee gives us direction. Then a devotion cleanses our heart. We grow through our responsibilities. Our heart, softens through repentance. That's very important. And finally, the Lord personally escorts to his abode. And Srila Prabhupada says, everything is possible when one takes the shelter of the Supreme Lord. Just like Dhruva Maharaj teachings, let it give us to seek the Lord's, sincerely, to serve with determination, and to remember our benefactors with gratitude. Our Shiksha Guru, and all of those devotees who have given us this path of progress in this movement, and to dedicate our life in such a way that Krishna himself come to take us back home, back to Godhead. With that, I'd like to end this session. Hari Om Tat Sat. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavad Pranam Prabhu.
Dandavat Pranam. Manibhushan Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Very nice class, Prabhu. Thank you. A lot of enlightenment things and all. Live teachings in our class. I have a few clarification required, Prabhu. That's not a question actually. Yeah.
Sure,
So that Guru Maharaj got the darshan of the Lord at the years of 5 years old, right? But then why is not get the deliverance then and there itself, Prabhu? Why he was allowed to 36,000 years to suffer? Basically, the material world is a suffering, right? Lot of miseries only. Even though the devotees, we are hearing like that, there are a lot of, like even Shukadeva Goswami is not ready to come out of that his mother's womb. Because of that, miseries in this Kali Yuga, so he don't want, in this material world, so he don't want to come out of that. So here, Guru Maharaj got the darshan, the Lord, in 5 years old, and got that all the knowledge. When the Lord is kept in the conch in his head, he got all the knowledge as well. So it's not like there was a small baby, he don't know anything. That's the reason like that. It is not that way. But why that Lord is not given the deliverance that itself, that year itself? Why it's allowing that 36 years old? Because in that 5 years old, he got angry with his mother that he want the kingdom. That's why he just came to the forest and he got the knowledge from the Lord. But later, although he just fought with the yakshas for his brother. So yeah, sorry, Prabhu. That is, I just
yeah.
want some clarification on that.
All glories to Srila Guru Maharaj, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. So, Prabhu, one of the points which I made that devotees embrace responsibility, right? So, Dhruv Maharaj ruled the planet with complete liberation before, with complete responsibility before liberation. So, when he saw, and I'll request Premdata Prabhu to share his thoughts and wisdom. But Dhruv Maharaj, at the time of his prayers when he was 5 years old, he did not ask for liberation. He asked for material benediction. Obviously, after that, all those things went away because he said, "I asked for broken pieces of glass. You have given me a big, jewel itself." So, but Dhruv Maharaj never asked for liberation at that time. And at the same time, to the reference of the quote, what Srila Prabhupada also says, spiritual life is not escapism. So Dhruv Maharaj actually came back and he ruled the planet and showed how a pure devotee can rule this kingdom in the most appropriate way and not escape from spiritual life, and showed to the rest of the world how he meditated him after 36,000 years after ruling the kingdom, handed over the kingdom to his son, and then went on to Badrikashrama to do his penance and purification process, and finally went to Godhead. So that's my understanding of the whole pastime of Dhruv Maharaj. Premdita Prabhu, anything you can throw your...
And I don't know, Manibhushan Prabhu, when Prabhu was saying that, although he got purified, and then he has to, why he was made to rule for 36,000 years. Uh, s- um, in at least Gaudiya Vaishnava philosophy, I think that's a philosophy of all the Vaishnavas, is that, for a devotee, it doesn't matter where he is going to be, in the material world or spiritual world or Swargaloka, Narkaloka, anywhere. As far as he is serving the Lord, lovingly, for him, that is the most thing which gives him pleasure. So, since it was being told by Lord Narayana himself that, go and rule the world, so being a pure devotee of the Lord, it's not from that standpoint, it is a misery because we are not able to lead even whatever 40, 50 years, we live in misery. For a pure devotee, he is just engrossed in the service of the Lord, to please the Lord, because Lord wanted him to rule, he ruled it. Because Lord gave that instruction that you rule. So, and as Prabhu rightly said, that a devotee, in his case, of course, his desires were material in the starting, but it got purified. So through him, Lord wants to give a lesson, and there are so many lessons we are learning otherwise as well. Because Dhruv Maharaj, we saw that fight with Yakshas. There were so many learnings there. What devotee should be. So I'm on the lighter side. If Lord keeps giving the liberation like this very easily, then how will the other people learn like us?
Yeah, I was about to say that, then I don't. If in 5 years, if he got liberated,
Then
then
there
we
will be no
will have
story of
this
Dhruv
wonderful
Maharaj.
pastime to hear.
And like Prahlad, if he liberates then and there, then later Prahlad also he gave to rule. Then he had Bali Maharaj, he had this further family. Bali Maharaj came, and then we had this pastimes of Bali Maharaj. So like that, So I think devotees, Lord gives us higher responsibilities, that they stay in the material world and become example for to all the people. I think Achyut Prabhu had touched made this point that we all know that our Guru Maharaj, His Holiness Jayapataka Swami Maharaj, is example of that. And many times some of the astrologers have told also that his lifeline is only up to 2008, and after that it's almost like 17, 18 years now. So through his life, uh, Krishna is inspiring so many souls, because many a times we struggle in bhakti, and then after that we leave bhakti. Okay, theek hai, maybe there are different people who can struggle. We can't struggle. We'll just sit at home, do some japa, and that's all is our commitment to the movement or commitment to our guru. But these all these great personalities like Guru Maharaj, he teaches us that no, like we, even if we have difficulties in our life, then we have to serve the Lord, and in the right mood, we have to serve. So I think that's what my take, Prabhu, on this, Manibhushan Prabhu and Achyut Prabhu. That's what I feel it is.
Thank you, Achit Prabhu. Thank you, Prindita Prabhu. There is
Thank
one
you,
more
Prabhu.
question. I'm stopping here. That see that actually that when that Dhruv Maharaj is leave this when he is going to the planet, that time he remember that Suniti. So yeah, maybe that's a silly question, Prabhu. Why actually that pure devotees normally just we are seeing that Samadarshinaha. So everybody is seeing them equally. So why choose only Suniti? Because yeah, you already said told a thing like that. She is a person. Because of that, he just got the God realization. So that is the only reason why he's not like when Sri Rama is just when left out this world, entire Ayodhya people just went on Sarai river and just got all of them got liberated. But here he just only chosen Suniti. Is there any other reason, Prabhu, apart from that? What do you say that she is the person you get the God realization? Hare Krishna.
Prabhu, Hare Krishna. So, the comparison of Lord Rama and Dhruv Maharaj are very different. Lord Rama is Lord himself, but Dhruv Maharaj is liberated soul. But he we cannot compare the two. So when the whole Ayodhya sort of Vasis came into Sarayu River and then they followed Ram, that's a different. Lord's pastime is very different from what his devotees' pastimes could be. Okay, so that's one. The second thing is Suniti, Mother Suniti herself is a very, very, very pure devotee of the Lord. And Dhruv Maharaj is expressing his um, gratitude to his mother and making sure that mother is coming along with him. So I think your question is, what about the other sages? What about all the other people in the kingdom who were not taken back? Correct? That's your.
And also the attachment. This I just saw in that way. Normally, duties does not have the attachment. Suppose with the Samadarshinaha. So
Huh. No, this attachment is while his mother, he is making sure that the person who has actually, the personality who has actually shown him the direction. That's why the gratitude we have to express to all the devotees, senior, junior, our own peer or Vaishnavas,
yeah,
that they have shown us this path of bhakti. I think that gratitude is extremely important to be shown. Now, apart from
yeah,
that, why he did not take others, I don't have an answer for that. But everybody has their own journey to go through, right? And everybody has their share of karma to be fulfilled, whether it's bad karma or good karma, whether it's pious activities or impious activities. So we
as per
have
the
to
karma.
go through that. Yeah.
Okay, bro. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, bro. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Thank you, Prabhu. Sri Rekha Mataji has been putting up Mataji hand for a long time. I don't know, it's paining now. Mataji, over to you.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji,
Hare
Dandavat
Krishna,
Pranam.
Mataji. Dandavat, Mataji.
Thank you so much for such a amazing session. Prabhu, you said we should not be concerned about enjoyment and distress, right?
Huh.
When we are in difficulties, it's much easier to kind of get resigned to it. But when we are in a good place, it's difficult not to rejoice. So,
Yeah.
how do we overcome that kind of a weakness, Prabhuji?
Yeah. Mataji, one simple example or something I'll give. See, many a times we want to buy new things and show off and things like that, right?
Mm.
So the best thing to overcome that guilt of enjoyment or what you asked is to offer that to the Lord. For example, if anybody for that matter, you buy a car or you buy a new house, just pray to the Lord that I want this vehicle to be in the service of the Lord and His devotees. Thereby, the pride which we develop, oh, this I have bought a brand new car, it's costing 75 lakhs, 1 crore, and I'm going to use this for various purposes. I'll go on a holiday to Goa and things like that. We may end up going there. That's a different story. But then when you offer that lovingly to the Lord, saying that somehow make sure this car is being used for the purpose of devotional service, for the purpose of helping various different services for the temple or their devotees commuting our own Vaishnavas and so on and so forth, it sort of becomes easy to then bring down that pride. Of course, we have to practice that. We may have that spontaneous pride just for a moment, but then over a period of time, when we start practicing that, whatever we buy, whatever new thing, expensive thing, small thing, whatever it is, when you offer to the Lord and say, please accept this and allow me to use this in the service of the devotees or the Lord, it sort of brings us down and balances our ego. Like you said, difficulty anyway, we will go to the Lord and cry and say, "Why, oh Lord, why did you do this to me?" But there again, instead of asking that question, "Oh Lord, why did you do this to only to me?" I think that's where how we, respond or behave. We can always say, these are all because of my karma or impious activities which I have done. But give me the strength to overcome this. Give me the strength to face this and with unflinching faith in you, O Lord. The moment we start putting ourselves in that thought, all of the other things fall in place, Mataji. And it is all about practice. And over a period of time, I think everything will fall in place. I mean, um, my own personal example, many years ago when I bought a car, I'll feel like out of the world, like on top of the world, like, I've got the car, come, let's go here, there, and all of those things. But over the years, even if you buy a expensive car, it doesn't matter because your only goal then is, can I get Guru Maharaj to be traveling in this car to be serving him at his lotus feet? Your thought process refines, your feelings refine, and genuinely once you do that, your pride actually comes down. It's all that you're doing um, for the pleasure of the Lord, for the pleasure of his pure devotees, for the pleasure of Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. The moment you start thinking in that way, all the other things will start falling in place, Mataji. I hope that sort of gives you some practical aspects.
Yes, yes, Prabhuji. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mataji. Samya Prabhu, I'll hand over to you late or 7, 7:30.